Hey everybody, it's Ziz here, and with all the other MOBAs that are already out, like League of Legends and Dota, is Blizzard's new Brawler really worth playing? Well, let's find out. Now, I've been playing for a little while. I'm up to about level 15, so I'm halfway to the Hero League, and then it becomes ranked. And there's a couple of things that I really like about this game, and some things that I'm not super excited about. Now, first, why does Blizzard call this a brawler and not a MOBA? I don't know if they want to just be different or it's a legal issue or whatever, but it actually pretty accurately describes the game because I find myself in the action playing the game a lot more. And that's because a couple of differences between Heroes of the Storm and other MOBAs. First thing is your characters don't have any items or gold. Now, at first I really didn't like this because I thought it was a cool gameplay mechanic where you would get the gold up and you have to save it, and then, when do you go back to base? When do you buy your item? Do you keep, stay in your lane? All these sorts of things, and then you could change and customize your character with different items in every map, and against different opponents you could have different items, and it really felt like it was lacking a lot. But the more and more I play Heroes of the Storm, I really like the fact it doesn't have those things because you are out and you are brawling, you are fighting way more often than you do in games like League of Legends or Dota. I feel like you're always out there, you're always fighting. There's even little healing fountains and stuff you can run to that are really close to the action. And so I really like that difference. Now, even though it doesn't have the items to give you your customization, you can still really customize your character because at every few levels, you get to customize and change the way your abilities work. For this character I'm using here, right at level 1, I have a choice between 4 different changes to the skills that I have or abilities, or I can block more, or my ability does more damage, or reduces my enemy attack speed, all these things. And so even if you're playing the same character over and over again, every game can be different. You can pick different skills depending on what your role is going to be in your team composition, maybe the other person who is in your lane. And so even though you may be fighting the same character that you have before, they could maybe play totally different than they have in the past. And so that goes for you and the people you're playing against. So you still get that customization and how every character is a lot different. And I really like that about this game compared to other MOBAs. Another thing that's different is how important the map mechanics are in Heroes of the Storm. This map in particular, every once in a while there'll be some spawns of mobs that you have to kill and collect what they drop. That way you can spawn this giant monster thing and kill the other base. In other MOBAs, usually there's just 1 or 2 maps and the mechanics are there, but they're not as impactful. Sure, they're important, but in Heroes of the Storm, the mechanics of the map will win or lose you the game, which I actually really like. I like how they're different. It makes every game fun and different than the last one you played because there's 6 or 7 different kinds of maps already, and it really helps you get teamwork together. In other games, when someone is off jungling or doing something on their own, usually you don't have to help them. But in Heroes of the Storm, when whatever the mechanic is pops up in the game, everybody on your team wants to go and do that. So not only is it interesting, but also forces cooperation, and you really find yourself grouping up and playing as a team in this game compared to some other MOBAs. When you first hop in the game, right away you're going to notice it's really smooth, streamlined. It's a Blizzard game, which is really nice because it works. They know what they're doing, they've made a lot of games, and honestly, unfortunately, some other MOBA games are kind of cluttered and stuff is everywhere. They don't look very good and the graphics are older, and this game doesn't have any of those problems. It's really easy to invite people. It's really easy to see where your character's at and how much gold you have, and all the it's those little things where it just works. It makes sense and it's enjoyable to play. You're not fussing with the UI or the screen or any of the settings. It's nice to just hop in and play right away. Now, you have a character and your character's level goes up, and you have daily quests that you get that gives you gold, which is really nice because you can use the gold to then go to the shop and you can buy different characters. Now, these are characters you're going to remember and recognize from other Blizzard games. You got Diablo, you have World of Warcraft, you have StarCraft. So there's all these different characters that they have, and as you can see, I mean, it's all animated, it's really good. They have tons of different skins that are available already for all the different characters that look really awesome. They even have mounts. That's right. They have a pig mount and a unicorn mount. All these different things that are really fun to use and actually let you move a little bit faster once you're in the game. They got bundle packs and stim packs and all these things you would come to expect. But because of the daily quests, I've already gotten to able to buy a bunch of different heroes already, and I have 5,000 gold already just saving up to buy more. In other MOBAs I've played, sometimes it takes a little while to get enough money to get some characters that you want, and I feel like it's a little bit easier and doesn't feel like such a grind to get the characters that you want, which is really, really nice. Once you're in here and you want to start playing, you can change your hero, and this is a little bit different than other MOBAs. Usually, you're in a group and you start a game, and then after you've started the process, then you get to pick a hero. You pick your character you want to use, and sometimes the one you wanted to play gets taken by someone else, and then it's like, well, now I got to play with someone I didn't want to play with, right? Cool thing here is if I want to play with this guy or this lady, I can pick who I want, and then I click ready, and it's going to match me up with a group with someone who hasn't picked the same character as me, so everybody, you get to play who you want to play, which just makes sense, right? It's just really awesome. Of course, being a Blizzard game, you're still matched up with your friends and your friends list, and so it's really smooth, really nice, and it looks great, and their characters you remember. Overall, this aspect of the game is better than any other MOBA in my opinion, with Smite coming in just a little bit behind. Now, another thing that's a little bit different that I really, really like, 2 thumbs up for Heroes of the Storm, is that there's no last hit. So in other MOBAs, what that means is when a creep, a little NPC, was about to die, you would have to get the last hit that killed them to get the gold and stuff for it. And this game doesn't have that at all, which honestly I really like, because in other MOBAs what you see happening is the people don't attack the creep very much. They don't attack the mobs. They just sit around and wait and wait and wait, and then they throw out one hit just to get the credit for it, which to me always seemed counterintuitive. Like, the whole point is you're trying to push your lane to get to their base to kill them. So I was always out there killing creep because that helps the game, but it only mattered if you got... None of that matters. Now there's no last hit, and you just want to kill as fast as you can, as much as you can. On top of that, there's shared experience. So getting the last hit or something doesn't matter. Now, shared experience, I'm still a little up in the air about. And the reason why is in other MOBAs, let's say you're in the middle lane and you're fighting against one other person in the middle lane, right? If you start doing really well, you start to get an experience advantage, right? And so the effort you're putting into the person you're fighting, you're being rewarded for that. You're playing better, you're getting good attacks off, so you have a little more experience, and so you now have a little bit of advantage over the person you're fighting, right? But in the other lanes, everybody's kind of got their own little fights going on. And in Heroes of the Storm, you might be able to do really great. You're doing amazing against the person you're doing, right? But the other people on your team, maybe they're doing really bad, and so you're actually penalized because all the shared experience means your whole team, everybody on your team is at the same level. So if your other team is a bunch of noobs and they're not playing well, you're penalized. Even if you're doing great in your lane, you don't really get as much credit for it as you would in other MOBAs, which can snowball and snowball into towards the end of the game where the other team could have a 2 or 3 level gap on you, and now everybody on their team is really way stronger than you, and everybody on your team is at a disadvantage. Other games, you would at least have maybe 1 or 2 people on your team who were playing well and had, you know, a better level advantage, so they could still compete. Now it's like your whole team is worse and their whole team is better, or vice versa. You get to the end of the map and you're just steamrolling them because you've had a couple good fights and you've gotten an advantage. So I don't know if I like that aspect of Heroes of the Storm very much. So, is Blizzard's Heroes of the Storm worth playing? Well, in my opinion, I think it is definitely worth playing, and in fact, it's the only MOBA that I currently have installed on my computer. Sure, it's a little bit different than the other games. There's no last hit, there's no items, all that together, but when it comes down to it, I have the most fun playing Heroes of the Storm compared to any other MOBA or Brawler that's out there, and it comes down really to 2 main things. One is there's a ton of action. You're always out there fighting. You don't have to run back to buy items or spend your gold and get potions, and you don't have to always go back to heal. You can run just to the healing fountain, which is really close, and so you're always playing and you always have a ton of action. On top of that, it's a lot of team fighting. There's a lot of group mechanics that I really, really like. In other MOBAs, map is so big, and sometimes it can be all you on the other side, and it's like, oh, there's, you know, do I need to go over there? And so it's kind of, this game just feels like there's a ton of group things together. There's all the different maps, and the mechanics really lend themselves to getting in a group, doing it together, being a team, being social. And so when it comes down to it, when I'm playing a MOBA, I want to have fast, fun action, and I want to have a team game that I can play with your friends or even random people you've never met before. And Heroes of the Storm hits all those marks. On top of that, it's also super polished already, even though it's in a beta phase, and I put air quotes because the game seems like it's basically done. But even at this early stage, not even being released, it's super polished. Everything works. It's nice and smooth. You're never fighting with the interface or how to invite people or what, all this junk. It's just smooth. It's sleek. Everything works. You get to play characters that you've played in other other Blizzard games like Diablo and things like that. And so, in my opinion, 2 thumbs up. It's a great game. It's super fun. It's free to play. You get tons of gold, so you don't feel like you have to spend money. It's easy to get new heroes. You can play any character you want. You're not stuck playing one you don't. You can still communicate with the other friends playing in World of Warcraft or Hearthstone because it's a Blizzard game. So all that together, this is the only MOBA I have installed, and I think it's a ton of fun. Now, the only thing it doesn't have, which I think is going to turn around, is a huge esports scene. All these other games are giving away millions of dollars because they're officially released. But with how many people playing this game already, I don't see that being a problem either. So if you're looking for a MOBA, you want to try it out, I think it's great. Go check it out. Thank you so much for watching.